Running is the best sport in the world, but it can be with its difficulties. Now, I'm on a mission to help out as many people as possible with their running journeys. So today I've put together my 10 best tips to help you start running. Stay tuned, I'm going to cover a number of topics from the kit you should wear to the type of training that you should be doing, and most importantly, how you can enjoy running as much as I can. So without further ado, the first tip I'm going to give to you is all about running shoes. Now please make sure that when you're wearing shoes to run in, that you are wearing running shoes, not sport shoes. There is quite a difference. Converse and Air Force Ones are sport shoes, they are not running shoes, and I can assure you, if you were to wear a pair of Converse or Air Force Ones whilst you run, you will not only not enjoy running, but you will become injured. These shoes are not designed for running, they have very little support for your ankles and for your knees, and they are also incredibly uncomfortable. I appreciate that running shoes are quite expensive. There's no need to go and buy the top of the range running shoe. In fact, here in the UK, you can buy a pair of Puma Velocity Nitro 3s for £50. You can also buy for £80 a pair of these Nike Pegasus. I appreciate these are a little bit more expensive. I've trained in these quite consistently over the last few years, and they've done me over 250 miles. You can also buy for slightly less than that, for £60, you can buy the New Balance Fuel Cell Propel. These are 3 alternatives that you can buy from the top of the range shoes. They are fantastic, they provide stability, they are comfortable, and they will also help you to reduce your chance of injury. Please wear a pair of running shoes, do not wear a pair of sport shoes. Another thing I would recommend is to get a gait analysis carried out. This will be an assessment of your running gait, and it might find that you are suited more to a certain type of trainer. So it's really worthwhile getting a gait analysis. It's not essential because a lot of the modern shoes are quite neutral and can be quite adaptive to your running style. So my second tip is, once you've got your running shoes on, you need to warm up and stretch correctly. Now there are many different ways you can do this, but I have made a 5-minute video that I am soon to be releasing. You can watch along and you can copy the stretches as I do them. It only takes 5 minutes. Please make sure you stretch and warm up before every single time you run. For me, I think there are 5 main areas we need to focus on when we're doing our stretches and warming up. I tend to spend a minute per area, and these are the hamstrings, the quadriceps, the calves, the glutes, and the hips. For me, it's the calves that I spend a little bit more time on, because that's the muscles that I know that when I don't stretch and warm up properly, they're the ones that are going to fatigue and feel sore the next day. If we commit to spending 5 minutes to activate, stretch, and warm up these muscles before every time we go for a run, then our chance of getting injured is going to be reduced significantly. Our muscles essentially warm and become more pliable, which means that they are more ready for loading and intensity when we run. If our muscles aren't warmed up, then we're going to massively increase our chance of becoming injured. Don't neglect this, make sure you do it, and you can assure you your running will become far more enjoyable and pain-free. So once you've got your running shoes on and you've stretched and you've warmed up, my third tip is making sure that when you are running easy. Now, running easy is quite subjective, but we can use rate of perceived exertion to assess whether something is easy or not. Ideally, when you are running, you don't want to be working in the early stages at any more than a 7 out of 10. You want to keep things nice and easy so your body isn't under stress, and that you don't loathe running, that you don't want to do it again. Now, easy for some people might be a run, walk, jog, and that's no problem at all. In fact, I really encourage that in the early days of running, getting used to running, but also taking plenty of rest so you get that time to recover, and by the time you come back to running, you're not hating it. For other people, easy might be conversational pace running. So running at a pace that you can hold a conversation for with someone else. So you're not working too difficult that you're focusing purely on your breathing, but you're working at a rate that you can have a conversation, but also your heart rate is elevated. It's a myth that every time we run, we need to run really fast. In fact, a lot of beginner mistakes are made with people trying to run and replicate a really fast pace every time that they run. This will cause your body to break down, and ultimately you will not look forward to running every time. For context, I do run quite a lot of miles each week. I tend to run around 65 to 70 miles each week. 80% of those miles are run at an easy pace or a conversational pace. Now that has taken me quite a long time to build up to, but there's no reason if you stick to these principles and these rules why you can't build up to a mileage that is suitable for you. And hopefully by running easy, you will enjoy the sport a lot longer and your lifetime within the sport will be extended to a long, long time away. My fourth tip is all about the type of surfaces and where you train. For me, it's really important to mix up the surfaces as much as possible. I personally run a lot on the tarmac, but I also do a lot of gravel, a lot of grass, a lot of track, and a lot of trail. By doing this, it keeps my motivation and it keeps my interest far higher than if I was just to pound the pavements the whole time. Not only this, but running on tarmac all the time is probably not great for your knees and for your joints. So mixing it up with softer surfaces will allow your body to recover quicker in between, and it's also quite nice if there are some scenic routes around the trails, or if you want to do some work at the track. It mixes things up and keeps your engagement within running far higher than if you were to just run the same route on the same surface every single time. Now my fifth bit of advice is please stop comparing yourself to someone else. This is the devil and so many people are guilty of it, including myself in the past. But I can assure you, since focusing only on myself and my close friends around me and not obsessing over their paces, over their distance, over the amount of miles that they run each week, my running has become far more enjoyable. And ultimately, that is what this sport's about, having fun and enjoying things. Everyone is on their own unique running journey and everyone is built with different genetics. So trying to emulate someone else or obsess over someone else's training really isn't healthy and it isn't going to get you anywhere. We have this amazing ability as humans to think negatively or to compare to others. Take that out of the equation. Think how amazing it is that you can be outside or be inside on a treadmill and you can run. It's something that unfortunately not all of us have the ability to do. Take advantage of the fact that you can run and have a bloody good time. So my sixth tip I'm going to give you today is to do as much running as possible with a friend or with someone else. I can assure you that when you run with someone else, your mind almost takes your focus completely away from running. And I do appreciate that at times running can be slightly difficult and it can be quite taxing on the body. But when you run with someone else, I can assure you the time flies by. You can talk about running stories, you can talk about whatever you want, but it will make running far more enjoyable than if you were to just run on your own the whole time. It's the mantra of one of the greatest long distance runners of all time, Eliud Kipchoge. He always talks about running with friends. For me, it is one of the most important parts of running and it's why I love it so much. This past week, all of my running has been done every single day with either a friend, my girlfriend, or with my running team, and it has made the world of difference. It's such a close community and I find the culture within running and the people that do run is so encouraging, it's so enthusiastic. It's something that I will never ever take for granted. So please, where possible, and I appreciate it's not possible for everyone, but please try and run with friends. You will thank me for this one later. Now the seventh tip I'm going to give you today is around technique, and it is something that probably isn't discussed an awful lot with running because a lot of people think it is solely about effort, but there is some technique involved in running. Now, whilst I can't specifically tell you what's right and what's wrong with your running, I can give you some recommendation on some running drills that we can do to all improve our overall running technique. So the benefit of using running drills is that the associated muscles with running will be worked, exaggerated in these running drills. And the drills that I'm going to give you are the A skips and the B skips. If you just YouTube or if you Google those, if you do those two exercises, you will find that your running form will hopefully improve. And this should help your overall running. Now the eighth tip I'm going to give you today is all about documenting your running journey and using a running diary. Now you can use things like a Garmin or a Coros to help you track and monitor your running performance, but for me personally, I like to write a running diary. This is something that I personally use to see what works well and what doesn't work well, whilst a Garmin, Strava and all the other things like that will restrict it specifically towards scientific metrics. A running diary allows you to give personal experiences. It allows me to write down things that work well and what don't work well. Things like the running shoes that I was wearing that day, did I get much sleep, did I eat the right food, how it felt during the run, By doing this, you will hopefully build a bigger picture of things that you do enjoy and that work well for you, and it will help you in the future to learn and make not make the same mistake that maybe you've made in the past. Now, Strava, Coros or Garmin or whatever system you use to track your running, they are all absolutely fantastic. And I do use them myself and I'm so grateful for them. But make sure that you use your diary to learn and to understand what it is that you enjoy and what things work well for you, because that is far more important. Use it in combination with a watch, but make sure that you don't obsess over the numbers. Ultimately, running is all about enjoyment, and as soon as we start going too much into the numbers, we then look at our watch to see have we enjoyed our run or not. If we use a diary, that will help us to hopefully engage with the sport more and learn exactly what it is about the sport that we enjoy. So my 9th tip that I'm going to give you today is all about nutrition. Now, nutrition in running is a massive topic, and I'm not even going to begin to go into the full amount of detail. There's so many different sources of information on nutrition, whether it be on the internet, whether it be in books or podcasts, whatever it is. For me, I keep things really simple. I drink as much water and as fluid leading up to my runs, possibly not within the last half an hour because you don't want to get a stitch. And in terms of the food that I eat, I try to eat as clean and as healthy as possible, but I also understand I do have some chocolate sometimes and I like to snack out on a few things. Meals, in terms of what I eat before a run, I would tend to eat a basic meal of 1/3 carbohydrates, 1/3 protein and 1/3 vegetables. That's enough to allow me to give enough energy, but also give me enough recovery from previous workouts. Keep it simple, don't overcomplicate this. In terms of what nutrition that I would take during a run, it depends how long I go for. If I'm running for less than an hour, I would tend not to take water. I appreciate that a lot of people do like to drink when they run, so that's totally fine. Avoid taking any fizzy drinks if possible, and if you do want to take a gel, then please practice with those before you would ever do anything into a race, because you don't want any unwanted surprises on race day. But my advice with nutrition is keep it simple. There's no need to overcomplicate it. If you are struggling, it might be worth speaking to a professional. They can always give you some expert advice, but it really is something you keep as simple as possible and don't overthink it. So my 10th and final tip for you today is to sign up for a race or to take part in a park run. The benefit of doing this is that it gives you a goal and hopefully some motivation towards training towards something. Now, there are so many different distances you can take part in, from track races from anywhere from 60 meters to 100 to anywhere on the track up to 10k. You can do 5k races on the road, 10k races on the road. You can do half marathons, marathons, ultra marathons. You can also do a number of different settings and mixing up the surfaces, as we mentioned earlier. Track races, trail races, road racing. You can do hill racing. You can do all different types of surfaces, and it's finding what works for you. And that might take a while, but I can assure you by signing up, your motivation will go through the roof. And it's also something really exciting to be able to wake up on race day and take part, and the feeling afterwards is something that's really hard to explain. You have to actually do it to understand how amazing that feeling is. So those were my top 10 tips. If you've got any more tips, and I appreciate that there are loads more good tips, please do leave a comment in the comments section below. It will help the other viewers out massively. I do really appreciate all the support I've had recently on the YouTube channel. It's been absolutely phenomenal, and I do really enjoy making these videos. So thank you so much. Stay tuned for the next video. I really appreciate your support, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Right on time for the parties and Barbies. Strolling with a chunk of green like a golf swing.